everybody. Welcome to Gaming Golf. It is the playoffs edition. We have actually started playoffs. It's the Northern Trust. We got Scott Jenstad and Jeff Ritter as always. Should be a very fun tournament. Lots of rave reviews about the field. So hopefully we got a lot of good stuff going on right now. Let's jump right to it, guys. How you doing?
Perfect. Playoff fever. It's raging. How are you doing?
I'm doing well too. This is the best. We were talking a little bit earlier, but this is the best field of the year. You get some weird guys sneak into majors sometimes. You get 120, whatever it is, 124 or whatever, how many guys here, but you get the top elite guys here, all playing hard, all playing for a lot of money. I think this is the best field of the year before they cut down. I like the 125. It's a great tournament.
It is, and it helps us bury the stench of bad putting in the last tournament there from people that we may or may not have backed actively. I mean, Russell Henley just really let us all down badly, and so we're trying to get over that. Scott, I know you bet him. I had him in our one and done. I had him in DraftKings everywhere. Yeah, not little bummer there.
Three-stroke lead standing on the 11th tee and didn't even make the playoff that the entire field made. So it was it was a gross fit. He was +3, I think, in the last 8 holes. He was -14 on Friday night. Finished the tournament -14, which seemed truly impossible at the time. It was just I don't know, playing the back nine on Sunday when you're not used to carrying that lead. That's twice now for him this season with a 3-stroke lead on Sunday. It's a whole other world out there on Sunday when you got a lead.
Not a closer, unfortunately. Yeah. Those are two tough ones for Russell Henley this year.
It was tough though. We picked him. We talked about him a lot. Yeah. We talked about him for DraftKings. I had him bet. We really focused on him. It would have been a really nice win, but he still played really well. You always want to give me a guy with a 3-shot lead on the 11th hole every single time at the odds, and I'll take it. But it sucks when they don't work out. He just couldn't make a putt down the stretch.
Tony Finau wonders when he's going to be able to close.
Oh, Tony.
That's Tony Finau's first mention on the podcast in quite some time.
Yeah, might be the last one today too.
Yeah, who knows?
That's all I have. I didn't even have that planned, so that's already more than I was expecting.
Good contribution there. Well done, Jeff. That's why we pay you the big bucks here.
Mention.
That's why SI Golf was interested in partnering with us in the first place, is for nuggets like that. Let's jump right into it here. Okay, so great field. The playoffs have started. What about the course itself? What should we be looking for from this course?
Well, you look for fewer player complaints now. For a while when it first popped onto the scene as part of the playoff rotation, this was probably it might have been the most criticized golf course, on the PGA Tour, and they kind of blew it up, tee boxes, greens, and it's risen, I think, through the ranks in terms of prestige. It was a fun venue for the President's Cup. And then in terms of how it plays, I probably just looked at tee to green first. The greens are not particularly large by PGA Tour standards. So from that point, I always just start going on who's going to hit these smaller greens and go from there. But I like Liberty National has grown on me. It was fun to play it when I played it a few times when I lived in Manhattan. It was fun to just get out there and just kind of get lost in that setting. You just kind of wind through the wilderness and then you pop out and see the city at different times. It's cool. It's a really fun spot.
That would appeal to me. What type of hitters should we be looking for? Let me guess. Strokes gained, approach to green.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's funny. Jeff mentioned how they changed the course. I mean, in 2013, the winning score was -11. A lot of people complained about that when it hosted the Barclays. And then 2019, it hosted this tournament, and Patrick Reed won at -16. They cut the rough down a lot. The rough was a lot shorter in 2019 than it was in 2013. So if they kept it like 2013, I think I would have looked at off the tee and accuracy and that kind of stuff. But now I think ball striking is the king here. Jeff mentioned the smaller greens. You want guys who are getting close, but I think we're at the time of the year where I want current form. I want ball strikers, and we're going to go from there, and I'll take my chances that guys can roll some putts in.
All right, let's get after it here. Let's look at the first tier. I always start as 10,000 as my demarcation. It's totally not scientific. It's just, hey, 5 numbers is bigger than 4. So let's go with it there. There are 7 golfers in this tier, though, this time. Starting with Jon Rahm, understandably everyone's favorite at 11.5. DJ at 11,000 straight up. Jordan Spieth at 10.8. Xander at 10.6, fresh off his Olympic winning performance. Colin Morikawa at 10.4. Brooks at 10.2. Rory at 10,000. Jeff Ritter, what stands out to you?
Most of them are rested. I mean, what a tier. This is easily the most power-packed top tier of the season. Like we said, I think Scott alluded to, it's just the field's unbelievable. I think Rahm is rightfully the favorite. I don't think I would pay up for that in daily fantasy. I think there's so many elite guys that are rested and have shown flashes that they're ready to win this event. So I think for me, I probably drop down $1,100 from Rahm and just take Morikawa, who again the course profile is great for him. There's no reason he enters as the points leader. We've seen times where the FedEx Cup, they had to tweak the format because the thing was over early, where just the right, it does happen where you just feel like the right player plays well at the end of the season to win this. And I think Morikawa is everybody's consensus player of the year at this point. So it feels like he's going to get one of these playoff events to kind of put a stamp on it. So he's where I'd start with this tier. I'd go Morikawa if I was going to pick somebody in the 10,000s.
I'm never going to argue with anybody that takes Colin Morikawa. It's wild. You look at the last 24 rounds, he's number one in this entire field in shot gain total, shot gain tee to green, shot gain ball striking, shot gain approach, and DraftKings points. Because we're talking DraftKings, he's number one in the last 24 rounds in all those categories. So I'm big on starting with him there. The interesting thing to me is you mentioned Rahm, and I think he's the playing the best right now. He won the U.S. Open, third at the British, eighth at the PGA's last 3 events in the U.S. and obviously the Memorial was in there too, and he would have won that if he hadn't had the COVID thing. I wonder at 11.5 if maybe we get a little situation here where there's so many big name guys, 1,000 or 2,000 below him. If he maybe sneaks in at a lower percentage ownership than we're expected to see on someone like Rahm, who's playing the best of anybody, probably the best player in the world right now. Him and Morikawa kind of 1A and 1B right there. I just wonder 11.5. It's hard to fit him in. I like a lot of guys in the 9s this week, so I'm probably gonna go a little more balanced. But I wonder if you get Rahm at like 18 to 20%, and instead of the 28 to 30% this week, just because there's so many options, and he sticks out as so much more expensive than everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And the thing is, it's a lot more attainable in a field like this because you're going to find guys in the 7s and 6s that you find acceptable, that are good players, not just got a guy that we might have recommended at 6,000 last week that didn't make the cut or anything like that I might have used.
Oh, Gellerman.
Yeah. Humanity.
He had a run though this summer.
He can't putt. But the other guy,
much like Vincent Whaley had a run before him, and you know what? There's guys like that. There's a reason why they. Yeah.
And when they hit, they're really valuable. The other guy I love here that I think is really interesting is Rory at 10,000. Yeah, he's got to make some putts. Like you look at the WGC, he was 12th that tournament. He lost 3.5 strokes putting, just crushed the ball striking numbers. He gained 9.7 strokes tee to green in that tournament. U.S. Open, same thing. He gained 12.2 shots tee to green and lost 2.2 putting. Like if he putts at all, just give me an average Rory week. I think he putts. I think he's right there, and I think he's kind of snuck in a nice range where there's so many options. He's nobody's going to be really high percentage this week. You can kind of take who you want, and a chance to get Rory at the 7th highest price. I'm at Morikawa and Rory in this range. I love Rahm, but it's just a little too expensive for me. It's kind of a game theory play there, but Morikawa and Rory, and I'm actually going to bet Rory to win the tournament this week too. I think he's like the 9th highest in odds or something like that. He's 22 to 1. I love getting that. I just think he's going to hit a putting week here soon.
Yep. Interesting that no one said anything about Brooks. We always talk about Brooks in big tournaments, and he's at 10-2. And he's got to be part of the calculus, right?
He has to be, but we didn't even mention Spieth that much too, and he's probably been the third best player so far this year.
Or Xander, who's in form.
With Brooks, he just played so badly at WGC that maybe that just worries me a little bit. But you're right, he always steps up for big events, and nobody's gonna be surprised if Brooks wins this tournament. I just prefer Morikawa and McIlroy this week, and you got to pick between the guys up here, and that's where I'm picking.
It's a FOMO tournament. I can see myself bidding way too many way too many lineups because I want.
Yeah, talk them up. You can talk any of these guys up, and even the tier down. We're going to get into the 9s. You can build a whole roster off the 9. I mean,
I love the 9s this week. I love it.
All right, well let's go to the 9s. I'm not exactly dressed to the 9s, but we got a bunch of good 9s. JT 98, Bryson 96, Victor Hovland 94, Hovland 95, Answer 94, Scheffler 93, Cantlay at 92, Berger 91, Hideki at 9,000. We started with Jeff last time. Let's go Scott this time.
I love the low 9,000 this week. I'm mixing and matching a lot of guys here. I like Scheffler, Cantlay, Berger, and Hideki this week. Just guys that are all hitting the ball well. And you look at Cantlay, like missed the cut at the British, and that was like the big thing. A lot of people liked him that week. I think we did too. But top 25 for the last 5 weeks. He had a win at Memorial. Obviously, he probably would have finished second, if Rahm stayed around. But huge tee to green numbers in 5 straight. He's hitting the ball really, really well. He putted terribly at WGC and still finished 23rd. I think this is a week where he slides under the radar. People were mad at him for missing the British. He didn't do much at the WGC, kind of hidden in there, how well he played, consider how badly he putted. I love him in there. Scotty Scheffler just plays well in big events too. You mentioned Brooks, but Scheffler has 4 top 10s in his last 7. Berger's playing great right now. Hideki's hitting the ball really well. It's just a matter of putting. I love this bottom 9,000s. I'm going to mix and match a bunch, but if I got to pick one guy to kind of ride with, I think I'm going back to Cantlay and his grumpy face.
You fit, but Cantlay, that grumpy face is that you've tried to perk him up all summer and it just hasn't quite come through. I'm with you on Berger. I think Berger's become that high tier guy that seems to be underpriced every week in this game. He's had a great summer, statistically profiles well. Could easily see him right there on Sunday at this event. And the other guy that I had that Scott didn't mention, and I'm surprised because we've mentioned him just about every show this summer, is Abe Answer, coming off his first win. Not a fluke. I mean, he's been building to that win all year. It was close, and I don't see why he couldn't continue to ride the momentum to another top 10 finish. And on a personal note, he owns a driving range here in San Antonio, and I went and hit balls there last night. So just a karma thing. Yeah, I've already. I thought it could be an omen. Probably not. But,
how'd you hit him, most importantly?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. It's kind of breezy. It was mats, but it was fun to just, hit the ball and just see the ball in the air. It was all right. But Abe Answer, can't abandon him now.
Can I bring up one more interesting guy in this range?
Yeah. Yes, you may. No, deny the listeners. No, you may not. Yes, of course.
So I wonder if low-key under the radar, Justin Thomas really found his game at WGC. It was very hidden because he lost 5.1 strokes putting. He putted terribly, finished 26th, but you look at the ball striking numbers, gained 6.3 tee to green, 6.1 approach. I wonder if maybe he figured something out that week. I think he's going to go really under-owned this week. We talk about the guys above him. We talk about the guys below him. Everybody loves everybody around him, and nobody's going to love Justin Thomas. He hasn't had a top 15 since May 2nd at Valspar. Hasn't had a top 10 since he won the Players in March. I don't think anybody's going to own him. He's under 10,000 for an absolutely elite player. I think he might have found something at WGC. I think he's a really good GPP tournament type of guy this week.
I like it.
Making a note.
Yeah, I'm taking furious notes here. And I figured, by the way, that Scott didn't mention Answer because you were going to do it there, Jeff. And you did that, just catered to you to let him bring him in there.
I did.
And I plugged his range. I mean, geez, that was like a double mention for Answer today.
Yes. Before we move on to the 8,000s, quick note from our Blue Wire sponsors. All right, let's hit the 8,000s. We love the 9s. Do we love the 8s? Webb Simpson, 89. Harris English, 88. Paul Casey, 87. Patrick Reed, 86. Cam Smith, 85. Adam Scott, 84. Cory Connors, 83. Tony Finau, there he is, 82. Joaquin Niemann, 81. Sam Burns, 8,000. Jeff Ritter, what do we like in this group?
Just when you're ready to write him off for surf season, Adam Scott returns and suddenly, could have won it last week. Didn't, but it's got my attention now at that price. And certainly an on-form Adam Scott can contend at a course like this. I also flagged immediately Paul Casey, who's really five top 10s in his past 7 starts. There's major championships in that last 7 starts. He's been there all year. I think that's a great price for Casey. So those were my 2 favorites off the tier, but certainly like the 9s, there's a lot of heat in the 8,000s this week.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all that Casey, he gets mentioned pretty much every time we do one of these great field tournaments because he's not priced high. And so we get a bonus on him, and he's always there.
In the 8s, I love Paul Casey, which is there you go. Just you talk about you look at shot gain numbers and you got green and you have really green if you use that kind of format. And I mean, he's just so good the last 5-6 tournaments, tee to green and approach, just hitting the ball so well. Jeff mentioned the results, 3 top 8s in his last 5 tournaments. Again, I think Jeff's right. I think that you get a tournament like this, he's just underpriced. But The other guy in here that I think, maybe gets a little lost because he kind of gagged it down the stretch at WC is Harris English, just playing really well too. Guy that's last 4 weeks, really, really good tee to green, finished, has 3 top 4s in the last 4 weeks. And I think at 8,800? Yep. I think he's a guy that maybe gets lost just name-wise in there. I don't think a lot of people are going to rush to have him. You got Casey right underneath him. You got Reed. You got Adam Scott underneath him. I just think that he's another guy that probably won't be highly owned. He's playing really good golf right now, despite the back 9 at WGC.
So I guess you guys were just leaving Cory Connors for me to bring up then at 83, because he's always mentioned in our podcast. He's always in this range in big tournaments, and he seems like a guy that's always there after the cut.
I don't love the current form. I love the player, but I don't love the current form.
Okay. Fair enough.
I love the mention though. I love, gotta get him in the show.
What do you guys think about Reed? He's just been kind of all over the place. Like he had a win earlier. He won this tournament in 2019, but just kind of feels like he's a little bit off the last couple of months here. He's playing really well in the middle of June. What do you guys do with someone like this that, won this tournament, 2 years ago on this track, but doesn't have the greatest current form?
I think it's just current form is the thing. I think that's why I've been staying away from him a little bit myself. He withdrew from the Wyndham. I didn't like seeing that. I'd like to know a little bit more about why on that one. Haven't seen anything on that. I think he had a very aggressive schedule for a while. I think
he usually does. Yeah. Especially because he got, added into the Olympics last minute there.
Right. That's what, and then he still played the St. Jude after that. To me, it seemed like he needed last week off at the Wyndham. I mean, it seems like that's maybe why he did. But just, I don't know. I'm probably not going to go with him in my laps.
But he's a guy in this range that, can actually win the tournament. We talk about a lot of guys that play really well. He's a guy that has win equity down here, as they would call it. But I don't know. I just I'm such a current form person that I'm worried that it's just not quite there. I don't think I'm going to get there. I just think it's so much easier for me to go up 100 to Casey, like just as a slam dunk. I'd take Casey every day.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. You guys ready to hit the vast middle, the 7,000s?
Sure.
All right. Let's go. You know what? I'm not going to break it in half. I'll just let you guys talk about top of the tier, bottom of the tier in the 7,000s. I'm not going to name every single golfer because there's a ton of them, starting at Fitzpatrick and Kisner and Hatton up at the top of this tier. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to like Hatton at 78, though.
I think so too. I think he's the 13th ranked player in the world. You get him to enter 8,000. I think just people automatically will just go and click that. Betting wise too, he's 55 to 1. Like you're getting a top 15 player in the world, 55 to 1. He's been a little bit all over the place lately. Missed the cut at both Opens, but then bounced back a little bit last week at WGC. He's on my list here. I haven't fully decided how much I'm gonna play of him, but you get a guy under 8,000 at that price. You feel dumb if you look back and didn't play him. He did well.
Yeah, that's a good call. I like Matt Fitzpatrick still as well. Not a consistent summer for him, but he's flashed at times. This feels like a golf course that would be gettable. It doesn't necessarily emphasize power, or power isn't like a checkmate advantage like it is this other courses. So I flag Fitzpatrick, and then just moving to the bottom half of the tier. A couple guys we've talked about a lot this summer. I like Seamus Power, who's shown the form at the end of the summer here. And just very quietly going along. I haven't seen much of him in the last month, but he's been on my fantasy team. And so an ode to Charlie Hoffman for the season, his best career season, I believe, to be priced that low. I could see him rested and coming back and hanging around on Sunday.
So in the 7s, I really like going back up a little bit at the same price as Hatton. I think lower percentage that I like a lot. I really like Jae Im this week. I know that's not going to surprise you guys, but another guy kind of like JT, who I think just quietly found it last week at Wyndham. JT was at WGC, but he was at Wyndham last week. Lost 2.5 strokes putting, but gained 4.7 on approach, gained 8.6 on tee to green. Hit the ball really, really well last week. I actually think getting past the Olympics is a good thing for Jae. I think he can kind of just focus on playing now, which I really like. And he had some hiccups there. You can kind of tell, and he's sad he didn't play the British. And I think it's time now. I think it's 7,800. He's too good of a player to be priced that low. And I think he'll be definitely lower percentage owned than Hatton. So I really like Jae this week. And then you drop down to the low 7,000s. You got someone, Brandon Grace, last week that played really well. Granted, he's putted really well. He's kind of been riding off that a little bit, but at 7,200, I'm not quite as worried about that. But you look at his last 4 tournaments, he had 1 missed cut and 3 top 7s. Like you get anybody that can make the top 10 at 7,200, you gotta jump all over that. And he was really good hitting the ball at US Open and Memorial. Last week was more putting, but he's just hitting the ball really well, playing solidly. And I got to mention him, my guy down here at 7,100, Johnny Vegas, really low price. We saw him up a little bit in these lesser tournaments, but 3 straight top 15s. He's gained over 4 shots tee to green on 5 straight weeks, just hitting the ball fantastically well. At 7,100, all you got to do is make the cut. And he's a guy that's shown he can get in that top 20. So I like Grace and Vegas down here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Vegas, actually. So I'm glad you brought him up. Who's going to be the popular guy in this group? Is it going to be Hatton? Is there going to be anybody else in that where it's so chalky that maybe you want to avoid it?
It's a good question. I think Hatton is definitely that guy. I think the other guys seem pretty well priced for a big tournament like this. I don't see anybody that really sticks out. I think Ian Poulter is going to be very popular at 7,700. I've heard a lot talk about him. He's been playing really well too. He finished 10th at WGC. A lot of putting there, but he's a guy that's been playing pretty well. So I think Poulter will probably be pretty popular in that range too.
Very cool. All right, 6,000s. Let's go down there. Let's find let's go to the bargain basement. See what we can find. Jeff Ritter, what do you got in the 6,000s?
I've stopped with my lineups right at that Power and Hoffman line at 7,000. Actually tried to stay out of this. I didn't feel the need to dip down. The one guy, I guess, if you're going for sleeper, course experience. I don't know. The one guy, I was surprised Schwartzel. I had to look back because he was a guy that had run hot earlier in the summer. It's been off form a bit now at 69, but certainly a guy who's capable in this type of field of making an impact. Played in the President's Cup when it was here, but I didn't love this tier as much. For me, it kind of ran out right at that 7,000 line.
I looked at Charles too. He was horrifyingly bad last week at Wyndham. He lost 9 strokes total. He lost
on my
5.5.
roster. I know.
Lost 5.5 tee to green. We hard to do in one tournament. We talk about all these numbers, how were they good or great? He lost 5.5 off the tee. Also lost putting. It's crazy how bad he was. He just completely lost his game last week.
Yeah, I can't get behind him. I in our season-long league, I actually have options to have choices this week, and he was an easy decision to bench. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'll go that path. I wanted to mention, just for the record, that the tribute to Matt Kuchar and the actual Kuchar are the same price at 6,400. So
a true passing of the baton there. That's just perfect, beautiful.
So I don't like Charles, but there are some guys down here I think are very playable. The first is a guy that, current form flashed last week. Roger Sloan at 6,800 was in the playoff and didn't win, but 2 straight top 20s. His ball striking has been really good the last 3 tournaments. He's made 5 straight cuts. I think he's very playable at 6,800. You drop down a little bit, it's tough. It's one of these guys that's been just kind of living off the putter, but Brian Stewart at 6,500, top 15, 4 straight weeks. That's really impressive at 6,500. But last week he lost strokes tee to green, approach, and off the tee, gained 9.1 shots putting. I just don't know if that can survive. I think he's actually be the name people go down to here at 6,500. I'm scared he's going to miss the cut this week. He feels very much like Hank Lebioda did, kind of after he rode those 3 good putting weeks and then kind of fell off. He had to withdraw, which wasn't obviously, it was a family thing, but he missed the cut the week after. So I'm actually going to avoid Stewart, although I think that a lot of people will be on him. The other guy who's a little bit interesting to me down here is Matt Wallace at 6,500. Just a guy who he struggled in May and June, but you look at his last 3 tournaments on the Euro Tour. He was 26th at the Scottish. He made the cut. He was 40th at the British. And last week or 2 weeks ago, he finished T8 at I had to look it up. It's the Kazoo Open supported by Gareth Bale. So that's right down Jeff Erickson's track right there with the soccer tie-in. But played really well, 6,500. I think he's a guy that can make the cut. I don't know if he can compete, but a top 30 is very in play for something like Wallace, who's a better overall player than this price dictates.
I must have been in Wales because Gareth Bale is Welsh, and that's why else would he sponsor? Be supporting a tournament unless it's for his home country there.
The Kazoo Open just sounds like a lot of fun. I'd like to play that next year.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not as it would be fun. It would be cool. All right, let's move on to the betting sheet. Jeff Ritter, who do you like on your betting sheet?
Well, we go back to some of the guys we talked about before. It jumped out at me. Rahm 10-1, can't do it. But Morikawa 20-1. Is Colin Morikawa really twice less likely to win this event than Jon Rahm? I think not. So I started with Morikawa at 20-1. As we said, we'll never see him at 30-1 again after the British. But 20-1, I thought those were decent odds for a guy who's on track to be the player of the year. And then I'm going back to Abe Answer 35-1 and Paul Casey I show 30-1. And then I'll go I'll go Matt Fitzpatrick 60-1, 60-1 too. I like that. That's where I am with the betting sheet.
It's tough betting week. There's a lot of guys in that. Like we mentioned the 9,000s. I like them. Their betting odds kind of in the 20s, but obviously you have to limit yourself there. You can't take everybody. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Rory at 22-1. I just like the price on him. I think he's the sixth highest. I just think I said eighth highest, but the sixth highest guy. He's tied with Brooks at 22-1. I'm gonna go him. I'm gonna go Patrick Cantlay at 30-1. Really like the price there. I think he's gonna be in the mix on Sunday. And then I'm probably going to go Hideki just because I think the price is too high. He's 40-1. I think the ball striking is so good that he putts a little bit. I like the 40-1. And then going to drop down to some bombers. I'm going to go Sung Jae at 65-1 for sure. And I think Brandon Grace at 90-1 and Johnny Vegas 100-1 for a couple bucks. Tough tournament for them to win, but I think the odds are long enough to throw a couple bucks on. But Rory, Cantlay, Hideki, and Sung Jae are going to be getting most of my money.
Very good. Very good. All right, let's finish up with one and dones here. Jeff Ritter, you go first.
This tells you how badly the one and done has gone for me. I'm solidly in 39th out of 43 entries. I still have Jon Rahm available. I don't know how that's even happened, but I'm going to save him and hope he doesn't get COVID this week. And I might take him a little later in the playoffs. I'm going to go Paul Casey.
My question for you guys is, will I ever be able to use Dustin Johnson? I still have him. He's like flashing at me on the page, but I'm not going to take him. I'm going to go Jordan Spieth this week. I haven't used him. I want to use him. I think this is a good setup for him, even though I'm not going to probably pay the DraftKings price or bet him at the 12 to whatever he is. I think I'm going to go. I think I'm with Spieth. I have Spieth, DJ, and Bryson left, so there's probably going to line up as my three down the stretch here.
So I also have DJ left, and I was thinking about course history is pretty good. But current form is just, yuck.
You'll be the only guy on him, probably, right?
Perhaps. I also have Cantlay available though, so I'm going Cantlay. Even though there's going to be other people on him, I know.
Do we play three more or just two more in the one and done?
That is a question.
I think it's just the tour next week and then the tour championship, and I think that's all for.
But we do play the final.
I thought we played the final one, but we don't use their money. We have some sort of formula, or maybe that's just our regular season league, and maybe not one and done. I
should probably know the rules before I sign up for leagues, right?
Yeah, I should know that. I know for our league we use we have some sort of divider program there for that. But anyway, so I'm gonna go Cantlay.
I'm on the site right now. I'm on the site right now. We do use it, by the way. Okay,
I originally clicked DJ, but I can't do it. I still have Cantlay, and I like him better this week. And this DJ at 11,000 DK was like just a non-starter. There's no way I'm going to be spending that much money on the guy at that form.
How good did it feel to get your first win in our draft league last week, though? It must have been good. You don't want to go zero.
Yeah, well, it teased me because I also have Adam Scott, and I thought I was going to win on the first playoff hole. And of course, he gacked the putt. But Adam Scott rallied over the weekend. He was one over the cut line, and then at like 64, 65 to get into that playoff. So can't really complain. Yeah, it felt good. I'm all the way up to 7th place in that league, though.
Nice. You get two guys in the playoff and a win. That's nice.
Yeah, so that was good. Would have liked to have Henley though instead in the one and done. And as I think I don't know where I have a better chance of cashing in, but at any rate. It would have been better for the show too if Henley would have won because we all were on him last week. But any other parting thoughts before we take off?
I don't think so. This week's fantasy football question. That's right. Moving on to drafts. In a dynasty league, I may have the option between Najee Harris or Travis Kelce. Might slip through. Kelsey looks like he's going to slip through the 2-player keeper that I'm in, and I pick early. So. Do I go with the franchise running back in 2 years, or do I go win it all and take a run at Kelce, who probably doesn't have 2 years of value? Maybe he does, but
who are your keepers already?
McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill are my 2 keepers.
I go Kelce. What say you, Scott?
That's a really tough one. I like Kelce overall, but I just wonder with Hill how well that works.
Running backs are currency in this league too. They're just like they are gold. You get those.
You get either guy for 2 years.
Yeah, you could protect him twice, up to two times in a row.
Full point PPR or half?
Half.
Ooh, that makes it a little tougher. I'm gonna go. I still gotta go Kelce by a little bit.
Okay, all right.
How about a golf fantasy question for you guys?
Nah.
Okay.
Well, you guys like Vegas or Cam Davis more this week, coming off the recent win?
Is this for our league?
Yeah, I'm going with Vegas, but I was just wondering if you guys
I'd probably go Vegas too, but I
recent form.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I'm going to go that way. They're my 5th and 6th calls right there. So it's I need a win this week if I'm going to cash Josh. I probably need a win one of these last couple of weeks.
You're in second now.
I'm in second now. That's
how many wins? You got a million wins in that.
I have
how many wins
I have 5 wins, but Josh has like 5,000 top 5s. But the last week playoff, the answer versus against the 2 guys I had in the playoff just killed it. I would have been right there otherwise.
Yeah, that playoff was just a gut punch. That was totally right.
I had Hideki and whoever else was in it. I can't remember anymore, but that was a $1.8 million swing, and I'm about 2.2 behind. So it would have been right there. It would have been fun.
Yeah, indeed. Darn it, Josh.
Yeah, he's been up there. He has an awesome team. Every time he submits his team on the lineups, I'm like, oh my god, I can use all these guys in the same team.
Yeah, it's like he goes 5 starters and 4 guys cheerleading, but the 5 stars like, oh, I want him.
All guys are like, oh, he's going to be top 20 the whole way through. It just you know why he's winning the league right there.
Exactly. All right, hey, good stuff, guys. Good luck in the Northern Trust this week, and we'll be back at Gaming Golf for next week as we continue the playoffs. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.